Hello everyone. Welcome to today's story. What happens when a CEO with everything to lose finds the one person who means more than his success? What if love can't save her, and the darkest of secrets threatens to tear them apart? In a world of business, power, and ambition, can love still conquer the greatest battle of all, life and death? Will Alex have the courage to fight for her, or is it too late? And most importantly, will there be a miracle that could change everything? Stay tuned until the end, because this story will leave you questioning what it truly means to love. If you want to see more of these heart-touching stories, make sure to subscribe and help us reach 10,000 followers. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Alex was a successful CEO, a man whose life revolved around numbers, strategies, and business decisions. Yet, deep inside, there was an emptiness only Tuna could fill. She wasn't just a colleague. She was someone he had quietly admired from afar. Despite his growing feelings for her, Alex had never dared to confess his love. He felt the differences between them were too vast, that their worlds were too far apart. Tuna had her struggles, and the weight of her past seemed to always be present, making her all the more distant in his eyes. One morning, Alex arrived at her house to find her sitting in silence on the couch, staring out of the window. The sky was overcast, the sun hidden behind a thick layer of clouds. Tuna, though trying to keep it together, had just experienced another painful episode, one that she didn't want to burden Alex with. The faint smile she offered him barely concealed the exhaustion in her eyes. "I'm fine," she said softly. "Just a little pain. Nothing serious." But Alex could see through the facade. He noticed the tremor in her voice, the way her hands rested in her lap, almost lifeless. Her usual spark was absent, and the weight of the moment pressed on him. As someone who had always handled problems with logic and pragmatism, he now found himself at a loss, unable to fix what was breaking in front of him. "Are you really okay?" he asked, his voice tinged with worry. She met his gaze, offering another faint smile, but Alex knew something was terribly wrong. Tuna gave a small nod, attempting to reassure him, but her eyes betrayed the truth. Alex could see the fear behind the calm exterior, the same fear that mirrored his own. The uncertainty of her condition, the weight of an illness that no one could promise would go away, gnawed at him. But he said nothing more, unwilling to push her further when all he wanted was to wrap her in the comfort of safety. As he sat down beside her, the silence between them was thick, both of them trapped in their own thoughts. Tuna tried to look out the window, watching the droplets of rain trickle down the glass. But her mind was elsewhere. The pain that had consumed her the last few days was unbearable, yet she continued to carry on like it was just another part of her life. But now, she felt herself faltering, too weak to maintain the facade of strength she'd always shown. Alex couldn't help but feel a growing sense of helplessness. He wanted to take away her pain, to make it disappear as easily as he made deals in his boardroom. But this was different. This was not a problem he could solve with logic or resources. "I don't know what to do," he whispered, his voice breaking the quiet. It wasn't directed at her, it was for himself. But Tuna, turning to him with a gentle expression, placed her hand on his. "You're already doing enough," she said softly, her voice tinged with gratitude, though the fear in her eyes remained. Alex looked at her, realizing the depth of what she meant. He was her strength, but she was the one fighting the battle. Days passed, and Alex's concern for Tuna only grew. He found himself caught between his duties as a CEO and his growing feelings for her. The uncertainty of her condition loomed over him, and there were times when he couldn't focus on work, his mind constantly drifting to her pain, her fears, her resilience. He wished there was more he could do to take away her suffering. But all he could offer was his presence. In the meantime, Alex's mother, who had always been a voice of reason, noticed the change in her son. She had observed his feelings for Tuna from the very beginning, and though she knew Alex's nature well, reserved and distant, she also understood the depth of his love for Tuna. His quiet acts of kindness, the way he cared for her, spoke volumes, and his heart had already been captured. One afternoon, when Alex and his mother were alone in the living room, she spoke up. "You need to be honest with yourself, Alex. Tuna is more than just a friend to you." Alex froze, taken aback by his mother's insight. "Mom, you don't understand. Her illness, it's just too much," he muttered, running his hand through his hair. "I understand more than you think," his mother replied softly. "But sometimes, life gives us challenges that seem impossible. That's when love matters the most." Alex sighed, conflicted. "She's fighting for her life, and I don't want to add more pressure on her. What if she doesn't make it?" His mother reached out and placed a reassuring hand on his. "Then, you'll love her the way she deserves, without hesitation. Don't wait until it's too late." Alex looked up at his mother, her words lingering in the air, and something inside him shifted. He knew then that it was time to fight for her, not just in her battle against the illness, but for the love they both deserved. The days became a blur as Alex's life shifted between his responsibilities at work and his dedication to Tuna. Her health continued to decline, and every day brought new challenges. Despite the medical treatments, the pain in her eyes was becoming harder to hide. Alex found himself spending most of his time at the hospital, sitting beside her, reading to her, or simply holding her hand in silence. Each moment felt like a fragile thread, and he knew he had to cherish every second. One evening, as the sun set, casting long shadows across the sterile hospital room, Alex sat at Tuna's bedside. She was resting, her breathing steady, but the pallor of her face was unmistakable. He looked at her, his heart heavy, wondering if the doctors had been too optimistic. He had done everything he could, gone to every specialist, followed every piece of advice, but he still couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. "Tuna," Alex whispered, his voice barely audible. "I don't know how to do this without you. I don't know how to be without you." Her eyelids fluttered, and she slowly turned her head toward him. A weak smile played on her lips. "You're not alone," she said softly, her voice hoarse. "I'm here, with you. I always will be, even if—" She faltered, unable to finish the sentence. Alex squeezed her hand, his heart aching at her words. "Don't talk like that," he whispered, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. "I'm not going to lose you, Tuna. I can't lose you." Tuna's smile faded into a look of quiet sadness. "You might have to, Alex. But if I do, you have to promise me something." He leaned in, his breath shaky. "Anything." "Live," she breathed, barely above a whisper. "Live for both of us." Her words struck him like a cold wave. How could he live without her? but deep down he knew she was right. He couldn't let her fight alone, even if the future was uncertain. He wouldn't let her go without giving her everything: his love, his heart, and his promise. The days that followed were filled with an overwhelming sense of uncertainty. Alex tried to hold on to hope, but the reality of Tuna's condition was beginning to take its toll. Every visit to the hospital felt like an impossible challenge. As the days passed, Tuna's health deteriorated further, and Alex struggled to keep his emotions in check. He couldn't bear to see her in pain, and yet he couldn't leave her side. One evening, as he sat by her bed, holding her hand, his mind began to race. The thought of losing her felt unbearable, but what terrified him even more was the thought of never telling her how he truly felt. His heart had been holding on to these feelings for so long. And now, in this moment of uncertainty, he realized that he might never get the chance to say the words that had been on the tip of his tongue for so long. Without thinking, Alex stood up from his chair, the weight of his decision pressing on him like 1,000 pounds. He moved to the side of her bed, kneeling down, his voice trembling. "Tuna, I need to tell you something. I've loved you for so long, and I've been afraid. Afraid of losing you. Afraid that I wasn't enough. But I can't keep hiding it anymore. I can't live another day without telling you how much you mean to me." Tuna's eyes fluttered open, and her tired gaze locked with his. She reached out, her hand trembling as it touched his cheek. "I knew," she whispered. "I've always known. But I was afraid too. Afraid that if I let you in, I'd only drag you into the pain." Alex leaned in, his forehead resting against hers. "You're not dragging me anywhere, Tuna. I've never been more certain of anything in my life. You are my heart, my reason for everything. I'll stay by your side, no matter what." Tuna smiled, tears welling in her eyes. "I don't deserve you, Alex." "Don't say that," Alex interrupted, his voice firm yet gentle. "You deserve everything good in this world, and I'll give you everything I can." As he spoke those words, he knew he was ready. No matter what came next, he was ready to fight for her, to be there for her, to love her fully and without fear. The days seemed to stretch on endlessly. Tuna's condition remained fragile, and every time Alex left the hospital for work, he felt a gnawing emptiness in his chest, as though he were leaving a piece of himself behind. But despite the overwhelming uncertainty, there were moments of light between the dark. On one of his late visits, Alex arrived to find Tuna awake, her face pale, but her eyes bright with an unexpected clarity. She had always been a fighter, but now she seemed to be fighting not just for her own survival, but for the future she and Alex had yet to build. Her words were soft, but they held a weight that made Alex's heart ache. "Alex," she whispered, "do you ever wonder what would have happened if we'd met earlier? If I hadn't gotten sick?" His breath caught, and for a moment he didn't know how to answer. The thought of them having met in a time when life was simpler, when love didn't carry the weight of illness, felt both beautiful and painful. But he pushed the thought away, not wanting to entertain what could have been. "I don't regret meeting you, Tuna. If I had to go through everything again, even the pain, I would, because I met you, and that's all that matters." Tuna smiled weakly, her hand reaching out to hold his. "You're the strongest person I know, Alex. I've never been more grateful for someone in my life." But as her words sank in, Alex felt a flicker of doubt. He had made promises to her, to stay by her side, to fight alongside her. Yet, in the deepest recesses of his heart, he was still afraid. What if the future they both longed for was too far out of reach? What if love, no matter how strong, couldn't defeat the inevitable? He pressed his forehead against hers, feeling the warmth of her skin, the steady rhythm of her heartbeat. In that moment, he made a silent vow. No matter the outcome, no matter how difficult the road ahead would be, he would love her with everything he had, because she deserved nothing less. As the days blurred together, the inevitable weight of uncertainty loomed even heavier. The doctors had told Alex that Tuna's condition was critical, and while they could try their best, there were no guarantees. But Alex refused to accept the worst. Every morning, he showed up at her side, his presence unwavering, his love for her growing stronger with each passing day. He clung to the moments of hope, the glimmers of light in the midst of darkness. One evening, after a particularly difficult treatment, Tuna lay still in her bed, her face pale and drawn. Alex sat beside her, holding her hand gently, not wanting to break the silence that had settled between them. He had never felt more unsure of anything in his life, but in the quiet moments like this, he realized how deeply he loved her. It wasn't about the battles they fought or the obstacles that seemed insurmountable. It was about the small moments, the warmth of her hand in his, the sound of her breathing in the quiet of the night. Tuna opened her eyes, and for a moment their gazes met. The love in her eyes matched his own. No words needed. It was as if, in this shared silence, they both understood that they had already fought the hardest battle. "I wish I could give you more," Alex whispered, his voice breaking with emotion. "I wish I could promise you forever." Tuna's lips parted into a faint smile, her fingers tightening around his. "Alex, you've already given me everything. Your love, your time, your heart. That's all I need." Alex leaned down, brushing a gentle kiss on her forehead. The weight of her words settled deep in his chest, and for the first time, he felt a sense of peace. Even if their time together was short, they had lived it fully. He had loved her without fear, without hesitation, and that was enough. As he sat there, watching the soft rise and fall of her chest, Alex knew one thing for certain. Love, no matter the outcome, would always be their greatest victory.
Alex, một CEO thành đạt, để yêu Tuna trong thầm lặng, nhưng cô bị chẩn đoán ung thư và chuẩn bị nhập viện gấp. Đối diện với nỗi sợ lớn nhất trong cuộc đời, mất đi người yêu. Dù vậy, anh vẫn không thể rời xa cô, dành tất cả thời gian để chăm sóc và yêu thương Tuna. Mẹ của Alex thấy rằng Tuna là người duy nhất có thể mang lại hạnh phúc cho con trai mình, nhưng chị gái Alex lại luôn phản đối mối quan hệ này. Sau nhiều thử thách và đau khổ, Alex quyết định cầu con Tuna liệu tình yêu có thể cứu họ, hay một phép màu nào đó có thể vượt qua, giúp họ vượt qua tất cả.